So what I'm arguing for is equal status between character development, by which I mean the development of the human being, the whole human being, understanding the neurofunctions of the mind, understanding our relationships with other people and ourselves, understanding ourselves fully, in other words. And then the other part of the curriculum should be the knowledge, subjects, concepts that children need to understand in order to deal with the complexities of living in the modern world. So those two equal-sized components then help us to deal with things such as artificial intelligence. It gives us the capacity to ask those questions about right and wrong, what we should do to remain as compassionate human beings.
One way schools can think deeply about values-based learning, and the work they're already doing maybe, and build on that, is to almost, with a group of colleagues, think back about the sort of values you've explored today, almost incidentally in the teaching that you've done. So in a geography lesson or an art lesson or a PE lesson or a modern languages maths lesson, where did we talk about values? Did we talk about determination today, or did we get the children excited about the way in which the human spirit wants to discover new things? Or did we dwell for a moment on the unfairness or injustice of something that happened in the lesson that we were talking about in history, and so on? And if you start to pull together with a group of colleagues some of the examples that have just come along naturally, you start to see how the intentions and the structures that we've already developed actually appear in the classrooms, in the lessons, in the routines of school, and so on, in a way that helps you to gain confidence, move forward, start to talk with each other about what we could do if we really structured things to help children with specific challenges, to help children who've got difficulties in social, emotional ways of working with each other, so that you can start to take a broad concept and narrow it down to specific needs in school and specific children that need support, and think about how you can really use occasions, residential visits or performances or sporting occasions, to help children to come to terms with some of the things that will affect their lives personally and make a difference to them. So what we can do is constantly try to tweak what we're doing, refine it, and make it have yet more impact. Some schools do worry that if they're approaching the curriculum through a values-based framework, they might be at odds with the inspection regime. Now, I'm not sure why, because in England we do have this thing called British values, where we're trying to communicate to children some fundamentals. And each of those fundamental British values will open out rather like one of those wonderful flower origami things. They'll open out into a whole set of other values that become meshed together to create the sort of character in children that we want to explore. So most Ofsted inspections actually bring with them a belief that the school system is built on values. Most Ofsted inspectors who are in a values-rich school are absolutely straightforward in realizing that this is the way to encourage children to become good mathematicians, artists, geographers, historians, and linguists. They don't do the curriculum and then values. Values is inside that curriculum. It's also inside the Ofsted framework. So it's there to be enjoyed and explored. And Ofsted gets a lot of criticism, not least from me, but actually when inspectors see good practice, they tend to see good practice.
I've been really fascinated by responses from people who've come to work with the children, who've consistently, yes, remarked upon their lovely behaviour and how polite the children are, and you know, what a nice atmosphere in the school, which is brilliant and everything that every head teacher delights to hear. But what's really thrilled me is that people have commented really consistently on how responsive the children are and what great thinkers they are, how they show that they're able to have original or fresh thinking, that they're able to engage in discussion and debate, modify their views, take on board other people's views, come up with reasoned thoughts and answers. And for me, that's just wonderful, because hand in hand with good behaviour, kind deeds, acts of thoughtfulness, an atmosphere of delight and joy, you know, what a gift we can give to children if they can go out into the world still with those skills and attributes, take them through their lives, then they'll be able to use them to do great things. Yes, it's useful and applicable to everyone at every stage of their life, their academic life and their personal life. And it's amazing how many people respond with such positivity and avidity when we start talking about values. Everybody that I've met seems to feel that yes, it's something that they hold dear to, something they'd like to see more of, something that they can see the purpose of. We know that the effect of the value-shaped curriculum, value-shaped thinking, has untold merit, and we're only just beginning to uncover just how deeply purposeful it can be. So working with universities to explore what we can uncover is one element of the answer to that question. But the other point is, of course, that we never stop learning about ourselves and one another and our world. So the application of this way of thinking, of course, has resonance throughout the academic spectrum.
The point of universities is to extend people's intellect and invite challenge and intellectual argument. And of course, in universities at the moment, we've got this big debate in a lot of places about free speech and should people be allowed to speak if they have different starting points from our own. We've got these questions about, you know, the very basis of some universities funded initially by what was seen as philanthropists, and now we're questioning, leads us to debate, did we have different values at that time? Were we not as well informed as we are now? Did we see things in a different way? We shouldn't shy away from these. These are debates and concerns and considerations we want people to have, so that they realise that the human spirit is evolving and our understandings grow and change, and there's nothing wrong with that. We've just got to see universities as places that develop thinking, develop understandings, and enjoy that part of society as it grows. One of the challenges in this country, and one of the problems really, is that in our education system, we have no legislated or even agreed consensual purposes for our schooling. So consequently, when politicians, secretaries of state, decide they want to take the schooling system in a different direction, there's nothing to stop them. We don't say, hang on a minute, that's stepping to the very edge of the purposes we've got, or that's distorting the purposes. Now, I think governors, councillors, people responsible for our school system should engage in a marvellous conversation about what schooling's for. What do we want schooling to do, and what do we want schooling to achieve? Seems to me that we actually share a whole set of purposes for schooling, which are very rarely articulated. And the more they were articulated, the more we would realise that values underpin everything that we do. We learn subjects to push forward what we value as a society, what we value as a country, what we value as a nation. And so governors should be involved, parents should be involved, councillors should be involved, and secretaries of state should be involved. The issue is that they shouldn't control it. They should seek to help people to enjoy the sorts of challenges that we want our children to face and the sorts of opportunities, and encourage rigour, purpose and joy in everything we give our children to do.